my job is to somehow make them curious enough or persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, and just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them, and I will do it by whatever means necessary.
Welcome to the Black Girls Heal podcast, where we talk about healing our intimacy disorders, unresolved trauma, and building a healthy relationship with first ourselves and then others. Every episode, we will talk about advice you can apply today to break unhealthy patterns and grow in your self-worth. I'm Sheena Lachey, love addiction coach and trauma specialist. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Black Girls Heal. I am very happy to be with you again today, but I have to tell you something. I have tried to record the episode for this week no less than 8 times, and sometimes, a few of the times, I got through full episodes and just whatever was in my spirit was like, this is not what needs to be shared now. So I have not posted, but I did not want to go another week because I know I didn't do an episode last week, which, by the way, thank you to everyone for all of the amazing birthday wishes and loves and gifts for some of you. I just feel really loved and celebrated, and I'm so grateful. But I know that it's the holiday season. So what I'm doing is I'm taking one of our most favorited episodes and we are resharing it here today. My hope is that the episode that is picked is one that resonates with many who need it. And we will be back in action in the next couple of weeks. Today's episode, the one that was planned, the one that I recorded on this topic 3 or 4 times, was about burnout and working through burnout. So I do hope to share about that later. But one of the things that I shared as a result of it was how it is so important to do things easier, to take your time, and to make space for things, to make space for learning and for application. So that meant one of the things that downloaded for me during my break was I really want to change the way that we were going to do our mastermind for healers, for other people who spend their lives pouring into other people. As amazing as it would be to have 3 months to really focus and do intensive work and work together, I didn't want that to be a deterrent for people to feel pressured to work in this container while they're trying to take care of their energy and take care of other people's energy as well. So I've totally changed the structure. We're going to do a monthly intensive workshop. It's actually what I wanted to do originally when it came to consulting or mentoring other healers. And we are going to go deep on one topic once a month. People can come and go as needed. In our first month, we are really going to focus on love deprivation, on learning how to take care of ourselves, on not abandoning ourselves, and doing a deep dive into that. And what does that look like in making boundaries for ourselves and other people? So if you're someone who is interested in joining the mastermind and either the structure of it, even the investment of it, the investment is very different based on the new structure. Would love for you to check it out. Or if you were planning on enrolling and you're like, oh yeah, that thing, so that we can get started in the new year and building the right patterns and practices that really keep you filled up when you are giving your all in so many areas. I've seen people who are hairstylists who want to join, people who are other healers and coaches and therapists, people who are teachers and medical professionals. I'm so excited. I hope everybody gets to join, but you can go to blackgirlsheal.org/mastermind, and we're going to build this tribe together. It comes with our community. It comes with support within our community and other things too. So let's go ahead and jump into this episode. I'm sending all of you love. I'm sending all of you the best of wishes, and I look forward to seeing you and chatting with you in the next one. But let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Before we get started, let's take a small break to say thank you to this week's sponsors. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Before we get started, let's take a small break to say thank you to this week's sponsors. Hello, ladies, and welcome to the latest episode of Black Girls Heal. I hope that this episode finds you well wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, and that you're taking care of yourselves. So this week's episode is going to be a really short one. What came to mind is the importance of taking your time. The importance of when you are doing your healing process, when you are going through your change work, when you are learning how to do life new, like a 180-degree difference from how you did life before, you have to take your time. It's been interesting as I've switched from doing mostly therapy work to mostly coaching work. Therapy, when I am in the therapy room, for those of you who are just now joining this podcast, I'm a therapist by trade. I'm a licensed therapist here in Texas. When I've been doing therapy all these years, therapy is about the flow. It's about taking your time. It's about being in a moment. It's about seeing what comes up, right? It's built into the process that there's no rush. As I've done coaching and I've been able to help systemize and give women a process, to give women markers of what they should look out for, to give them milestones, that really attracts women who tend to be the doers, just like me. So of course, that's who's in my program. And one thing that I have to say over and over to my women to help encourage them is that it is okay to take your time. So much of our life can be in a rush. We can be in a rush to try to get things done, to mark things off our lists. We live in a culture right now where we want everything immediate. We want immediate shows. I don't know about y'all, but, Netflix and Hulu sometimes has spoiled me when it comes to watching TV. Like if I have to wait, if you tell me there's a new show on Netflix or Hulu, and I have to wait every week for an episode, like why are you here? What is the point of you existing? The Handmaid's Tale would always just like stress me out. I need all 12 episodes right now. So we live in that kind of culture where we want immediate answers. If someone doesn't text us back or like, what are you doing? I know you're by your phone. It's that kind of energy. And we can bring that same type of energy into our healing process without acknowledging the fact that change and learning and unlearning takes time. We have our own built-in patterns that we have to take time practicing and applying and knowing how to think differently. We need to practice and apply knowing how to talk kindly to ourselves. Just because we do it one time, that's not going to be enough. We need to master it. Just because we said no and set boundaries one time, that's amazing. Yes, celebrate that. And that doesn't mean that you're ready for the next stage. It means that you keep setting boundaries over and over and over again until you master it. It means that you learn how to set boundaries with more and more people. And even between that, because this episode is about healing, you learn what it's like to live your life without you constantly being in the two extremes of, I'm going to do something to distract myself, to work on myself, to make myself better, or I'm going to live my life where I am numbing out and I'm focused on everybody else and everything else, and I'm not focused on me. For you to be able to truly become a healed and loved woman, it is for you to be able to live in the everyday, to live in the mundane without that being a trigger for you. For you to live in the everyday and not have that nagging inner ache of there's something missing come up, right? For you to actually be able to live in gratitude for what you have around you. To live in the everyday and to not worry that you're missing time, but to see that you have everything you need in front of you. So I know that right there can be very triggering to many of us with extended trauma who are doing our healing process right now, because we don't want to wait. especially if we're motivated, especially if we're putting in the work. Like, that can feel very frustrating. That can feel very scary. It can make us feel very impatient, especially if we're like, I've been living this way my whole life. Like, I'm ready for this to be over. And I get that and I hear that. But what I'm telling you is the only way that you're going to be able to get that same change is for you to actually learn how to run a marathon race versus sprint. You've already done the impulsive flash diets. I'm going to change this weekend, and it's not lasted, right? You've not been able to be consistent. You're building your endurance. Every time you are slowly meditating on skills, meditating on things that you've learned, you're building endurance. And, of course, I'm speaking to my clients right now. Like, they can like put some things together, like, okay, she's telling me these skills, but I'm also talking to everyone else who's on their healing process right now. I'm talking to every woman who is a recovering perfectionist, that it's okay for you to live in the everyday. It's okay for you to not have the right answers and to rest. I remember when I was starting my healing journey from sex and love addiction, I joined a fellowship called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, which is basically like Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, but using it in a way that we use, using relationships and fantasy and sex and love to self-medicate in a way that definitely like impacts our functioning, how we see ourselves, how we show up in the world. So I joined that group when I was first starting my healing process, and I'm actually going to have an episode about that, specifically about Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, specifically for anyone who's interested in it, to share my experience with it as a resource. But for the purpose of this episode, I remember when I joined, and just like AA, just like Narcotics Anonymous, just like all of them, y'all sit around in a circle, and, you have people who've been in the program for a while talk about the importance of taking your time, about being kind and gentle with yourself. They even have sponsors that you talk with and you check in with and that kind of thing. And I remember my sponsors telling me to be kind with myself and take my time. And I remember sitting there being like, who? Take your time, who? I'm not going to take your time. If anything, it ignited this passion in me to prove them wrong. To prove them wrong that not only was I going to get better faster, I was going to do it perfectly. My ego that was like, I'm smart, I know what to do, like you're telling me what to do, I can just do it, and needing to win, needing to be the best came out, which is, of course, all part of my old trauma. So I went into this process convinced that I was going to do it perfectly, that I was going to be sitting at this meeting in a few months, completely renewed and changed. Bragging, I guess, is the best way. That's not the word I had in my mind before, but bragging about how much better I was, so that I can teach everybody else. And that's not what happened. I learned that I was human. I learned that that ego and that perfectionism was just something that I was using to keep me safe. That I needed to learn how to fail and still hold myself in kindness and compassion, not in pity, not in resentment or disgust, which were my two extremes. Either I felt sorry for myself or just angry and mad at myself, or I would distract myself from my pain and do something that made me feel really masterful and that I was good at. But no, I had to learn how to go through the process. I had to learn how to wait and still love Sheena and be in touch with Sheena along the way. Hey, we hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Let's take a quick break to say thanks to this week's sponsors.
Hey there, BreezeLine has a holiday gift just for you. 1 month of free internet for all your family's gift sites, book flights, and movie nights. Get reliable, fast internet with speeds starting at 100 megabits per second for just $19.99 a month. Plus, free Wi-Fi your way home for the first 12 months. And your first month is free. BreezeLine wishes you all a happy and bright holiday season. If only they could give you a little holiday relief from all the matching family outfits. Service subject to availability. New residential customers in select areas only. Visit breezeline.com for complete offer details.
And I think that's what, if me talking about taking your time, if it's triggering at all to anyone, if it's not triggering like fear or anxiety of like, well, I'm wasting time and, you know, my relationships are messed up now, or, you know, what about this relationship? And I just need clarity right now. If it doesn't trigger that, it might trigger the ego part, that the defiance part that's like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm going to write you an email one day and I'm going to tag you in a post talking about how quickly I got through this. And you know what, my love, if you can do that, wonderful. I've not ever seen it. And I've not ever seen it because people weren't committed, because people weren't smart enough, because people weren't good enough. Every woman who listens to this is good enough. You're deserving exactly as you are. Is that you don't know that yet. Is that you're going to go into this process in a performative way to try to prove you're good enough. You're going to go into this process trying to fix everything around you because you haven't been able to tap into that inner wisdom, that inner value, that inner fullness that you already have. You know, it's possible for there to be a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening around you and for you to still be able to have true comfort, peace, security, and joy. True healing on the inside of you. And that's where you're trying to get to. It makes me think of how sometimes we'll, you know, in conversations and we'll do like the would you rather questions and stuff. And the question will come up, if you had any superpower, what would you want? And I've always said teleportation because I'm very impatient. The older I get, the more I'm learning that this is true about myself. It's always been true about me. I've been impatient my whole life, but I was under this misconception that I was like super open and flexible. No, I have always been impatient, and I've become more honest with myself as time has gone on, as I've, become a boss, become a mom, become a wife. I'm able to see the more I have people in my inner circle that aren't like my siblings or other people I can blame it on them the more I'm like, no, it's me. I'm the problem when it comes to my impatience. But anyways, relating that to teleportation, when it comes to traveling and when it comes to getting places, I would just much rather be able to blink my eyes and be wherever it is I want to be, you know. And I can also kind of blame this on being in Houston, Texas, where it takes 30 minutes to an hour to get anywhere, even places that are within your neighborhood. But that's a story for a different day. And when I think about this healing process, I think about how that's kind of what it is when we are very impatient. We want to just be able to teleport to the other side. Like I want to be there right now. And us not being able to enjoy the way there, to look at the flowers on the road, to express gratitude for the sunlight that is shining on us as we drive there, to be able to talk with the people that we meet along the way and build relationships. That is how we make the most of our journey. Not going kicking and screaming, not being so frustrated with the fact that this is taking longer than I wanted to get there. No, we need to put on a good song that makes us happy and brings us joy. We need to invite other things that make us feel positive and give us energy. We need to put people on our path that are supportive to us, and who could be a good road trip buddy, and take them along, right? So for you, taking your time would be to have patience with the process. knowing that as long as I am actively applying what I'm learning, as long as I'm actively checking in with myself, being kind to myself, being honest with myself, asking for what I need, I am making movement, because chances are these are things that the you a year ago, 2 years ago, 3-4 years ago could not or would not do. And as I've said many a times in previous podcasts, if you've been trying to do these things and you keep hitting a wall, you waiting and taking your time is not equivalent with you just staying stuck. If you feel like you're stuck, you need to reach out for help. You need to get support. You need to stop living in your ego and trying to do things on your own. And if there's that part of you that's like, I hear what you're saying about waiting, but I just don't want to. That makes me scared. It makes me anxious. It makes me frustrated. It makes me pissed off that you would dare try to hint that I need to slow down. Okay, great. And I want you to be in touch with all of those emotions and what that means and where that comes from. Because you are healing, I hope, for the purpose of you being able to enjoy your life. And y'all, a healthy life and a healthy lifestyle is pretty mundane. That image that you have in your head of happily ever after, your everyday will be non-eventful, because you're eliminating the need for chaos and drama, or the magnets that attract chaos and drama, or the blinders that you have where you don't see chaos and drama coming your way. Once that's out, it really is waffles and pancakes every day. It is you deciding what you want to do. If you want to do anything, it's staying at home or going on an adventure, but it's not the roller coaster. And so you have to get used to taking your time now. All right. So at risk of being repetitive or not wanting to be too repetitive, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you were able to take some notes about being kind to yourself, reassuring yourself, and if you're going to be on this journey, making sure that it's the best journey that you can have by being positive and having people who can be positive with you, and knowing that you're still worthy and valuable no matter how long it takes. All right. I love each of you, and I will see you next week. Hey, so thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoy what you've learned, it doesn't have to stop here. You can check out the blackgirlsheal.org website and grab the worksheet for this week's episode or any of your other favorite episodes from our shop with an overview of the main points, healing circle discussion questions and journal prompts, and challenges that you can take with you into the week. Also, you can check out any of our other self-study and coaching programs, resources, and freebies to help you heal from the intimacy disorders of love addiction, love avoidance, love deprivation, and the trauma that causes it. The best time to start or restart your healing journey is now. We hope you enjoy all of these resources, and until next time, remember you are so loved, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves.